Perik Yud Beis. We're continuing the story of the creation of Adam Rishon and following what happened with that. Okay. So it says, Chiba Yisera Chibev HaKadosh Baruch Hu the Adam Rishon. Chiba Yisera, extra dearness HaKadosh Baruch Hu cherished Adam Rishon. Why? Shibaroyai mi makom tahar v'kadosh. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Adam Rishon from the pure and holy place. From which place did HaKadosh Baruch Hu create him? Where did he take Adam Rishon from? From the place of the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, that's what it says in Medrash.
Rashi brings from the actual, he's Hayah.
From the dirt of the Mizbeh.
The dirt of the Mizbeh, and he brings.
So first of all, we sort of talked about this in the previous parak, in Parak Yud Aleph. Over there it says that Adam Rishon was created from Arba Pinei Sa'olam. Ki beitzas afar shel Adam Rishon me Arba Pinei Sa'olam, from the four corners of the world. That's what it says in Parak Yud Aleph. And the Gemara says in Mesachas Sanhedrin Lamed Ches, it says that Amar of Ishah Mishmei Derav Adam Rishon Gufoi mi Bavel v'Reishei Meretz Yisrael ve'Evarav Mishar Aratzos. Adam Rishon, his body was created from Bavel. Let's say his torso was created in Bavel, or came from Bavel. His head came from Eretz Yisrael, and the rest of his limbs came from all other lands. So there the Gemara is saying there's different parts of Adam were created in different places. Here we're saying Adam came from the Makom HaMikdash. Like what you said, Rashi and Chumash says from the dirt from the Mizbeach. And previously we said also he comes from four corners of the world. So how do we understand all these things together? So Rabbi Leomi Izmir over here in this Pirish V'lo Yo'ed Ella on Perkei Rabbi Eliezer, he asks this, and he says very simply that we're all talking about the same thing. The Gemara says that the head of Adam Rishon was created in Eretz Yisrael, and here we're saying that Adam Rishon was from the Makom HaMikdash. What does that mean? It means that the main part of a person is his head. So if his head is from Eretz Yisrael, you could say that he's from Eretz Yisrael. So there's no steer between our Medrash over here and the Gemara over there. The Gemara is saying that his head is from Eretz Yisrael, and here we're saying he's from Makom HaMikdash, because we're saying where in Eretz Yisrael is he from? Makom HaMikdash. And we're just talking about his head. We're just talking about his head. And we're calling that him because that's the main part of him. The rest of the Gemara over there that says the rest of him came from different places in the world works very well with the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer that we said in the previous parak. That Adam Rishon was created from four corners of the world. But that's talking about the rest of him. That's not talking about necessarily his head. What? So it's not such a steer over here. We spoke about this before in Parak Yud Aleph from the Radal. Another point over here is something that I didn't see anyone else speak about, but L'chayra, there seems to be some sort of contradiction over here between Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, open mission, and Mesachas Avos. Mesachas Avos in Perek Gimel, when it's talking about different things that Rabbi Kiva said, it says, Hu haya omer. Rabbi Kiva used to say, Chaviv Adam is a famous mission. Chaviv Adam shenivra v'tzelem. A man is dear to Hashem because he was created in the shadow of Hashem, the Tzelem Elikim. Chiba Yisera noidas lai shenivra v'tzelem. It's a Chiba Yisera, it's a special cherishment, a special dearness. A person should know, it should be known to a person that he was created with a tzelem. Shenemar ki v'tzelem Elikim osla es ha'adam. Pashas Adam in this context means man in general, but Kubiyah means Adam Rishon, in which case the Chiba Yisera of the creation of Adam Rishon is the fact that he was created in the Tzelem Elikim. Over here in the Medrash it's saying the Chiba Yisera is the fact that he was created from the Makom HaMikdash. I'm not sure if that's a steer or not. I didn't see anyone comparing this Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer to that mission in Avos, but they both use the term Chiba Yisera, and they're both talking about the creation of man. They're saying two different things. I'm not sure.
Live over there, in general, and over here it's La Adam Harishon. Because Adam Harishon was created.
You're saying that's in general, and here it's Adam Harishon. It could be.
In general was made.
I forgot to mention, how do we know that Adam Rishon was created from Makom HaMikdash? So the Bayis HaGadol, the Pir Shev in the bottom, he says that, because it says in the Pasuk, Vayitzer Elokim es ha'adam ofar min ha'adama, from the Adama, from the ground. What's the hey hayidiyah? The ground. So that's where the ground of a special place. So that's where Chazal were telling us that it's coming from the Makom HaMikdash. Right. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought Adam Rishon into his palace, into a palace. Shinamar, like it says in the pasuk, Vayikach Hashem Elokim es ha'adam. Hashem the God took the man, took Adam, Vayinecheu v'Gan Eden, and he placed him in Gan Eden, L'avdach u'Shamrach, to work it and to watch it. We're going to explain what that means in a moment, but. So Chazal are telling, the way the Radal speaks it out, Chazal are telling us over here that don't think that Gan Eden was just one big garden and Adam Rishon was just hanging out in the garden. No, besides the garden, there were, let's say, tents or some sort of housing places where Adam Rishon lived. There was like a palace in Gan Eden. He didn't live stam in the middle of the garden like a hippie. He was in an actual palace in the garden. That's what the Radal says. It doesn't say that in the Pesukim. All it says in the Pesukim is Vayita Hashem Elikim Gan Be'eden Mikedem. Hashem the God planted a garden in Eden from Mikedem. Either that means from the west, from the east, or like we said before, that it means that Gan Eden is from before Bris Ha'olam. But all we see is that Hashem planted a garden. We don't see anything about a palace. So the Radal says that this lashon of Vayita, which literally means planting, is also used in Tanakh to refer to the pitching of a tent. He brings a pasuk in Daniel, it says Vayita Ohale Apadnoi, or there's a Gemara in Mesachas Saita that says that when it says by Avram Avinu Vayita Eishel Bever Chava, so Vayita literally means he planted. Pasuk literally means he planted a tree in Beersheba. But Chazal tell us that the Eishel was really a hotel, right? Eishel is Rosh Teva Sachil Shisia Lina. Right, so the Gemara tells us that Vayita Eishel means he made a hotel. So it says lashon planted. Why does it say planted? So you see that you could call making a building or a construction, you can call that planting for some reason. So even though it doesn't say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu built a palace in Gan Eden, the Radal all it says is that Hashem planted a garden there. That Chazal understood that there was some sort of palace for Adam Rishon. So it says in the pasuk that Hashem is Vayinicheu v'Gan Eden, Hashem placed him in Gan Eden, loved u'Shamrach, to work it and to guard it. So what does that mean, to work it and to guard it? Work what? Guard what? What work was there to do inside the garden? That the pasuk says about it, that Adam Rishon was there to work it and to guard it. Maybe you'll say, oh yeah, of course there was work to do in the Garden of Eden. She is Kramim, so he would have to trim the vineyards, or to plow, or to move around the ground, or to put things in bundles, or to harvest them. Rather, the Radal points out that usually you harvest before you put it in bundles. So this is Rabbeinu Bechaya, when he brings this Pirkei it switches it, it has a different gersa. Liktzor or la'amer, to either to harvest or to put it in bundles. But like all we want is tzmachim alein. You want to say that Adam Rishon had to do all this work in Gan Eden to trim the vineyards or to plow or whatever, to harvest. Really, everything was being done. All the trees were growing on their own. So why would Adam Rishon have to be dealing with any of this stuff? Now, the Radal asks a question. He says, if we're talking about harvesting and putting things in bundles, so the fact that it grows on its own, why is that a kasha? Yeah, it grew on its own, and now you have to take care of the rest of it. So he suggests changing the girsa from la'amar or liksor to other things that don't have to do with the fruits of the produce of what grew, but rather with maintaining the trees or maintaining whatever vegetation was growing. But Other than that, he doesn't understand why he can't just say, Elchanan, it grew on its own, but Adam Rishon would be responsible for harvesting it. Or Shama Taimar, the Medrash says, maybe he'll say, Yesh melacha began Eden, lahashke says Zagan. Of course there's melacha, there's work for him to do in Gan Eden, to water the garden. No, is there not a river that draws and flows on its own from Eden? Shinama, it says in the pasuk, "V'nor yotzei me'Eden lahashke says Zagan." It says in the pasuk to irrigate the gan. To irrigate the garden. So Adam Rishon doesn't have to take care of that. So why does it? So what? So what does it mean that Adam Rishon was placed in Gan Eden to work it and to guard it? There's no work that has to be done l'chayra. So what does it mean? It says the Medrash. What does it mean? Rather, what it means to work means to toil in divrei Torah. V'lishmar as derech eitz hachayim, and to guard it means to guard the path of the tree of life. Ve'ein eitz hachayim el Torah, and the term the tree of life only refers to Torah. Shenamar says in the pasuk in Mishlei, eitz chayim hi lamachas zekipah. It's talking about the Torah, that the Torah is a tree of life for those who cling to, who hold on to it. So the Medrash is saying that when it says that Adam Rishon was put into Gan Eden la'avda u'l'shama, it doesn't mean it's not talking about the physical garden. Rather, it's talking about the Torah. La'avda, to work at learning Torah, and l'shama, to guard the Torah, to keep the Torah. That's what Adam Rishon was put in Gan Eden for. So also,
Gan Lashon Zohar. Yeah.
what?
Gan Lashon Zohar.
Gan is Lashon Zohar, right?
Yeah, so the figure
Pashtos.
gives us a hint beforehand. It says, "Vayikach Hashem et Adam v'henechenu began Eden le'avodo v'shamro."
Right. You're saying the pasuk itself sounds like this because the pasuk is talking about Gan, and if we were talking about the actual Gan, it should say la'avdoi u'l'shamroi. But it doesn't say la'avdoi u'l'shamroi to watch it in the male form. It says la'avdah u'shamra. So it sounds like we're talking about something that should be in Lashon Nekeva. What's Lashon Nekeva? Torah is Lashon Nekeva.
Yeah.
Derech is also Derech Eitz Chaim. The word Derech is also Lashon Nekeva.
On the other hand, it's such an obvious clue, but if it's written this way, so maybe Gan could be also Lashon Nekeva. We see now.
It could be. It could be. It's an exception.
Derech in
Right.
a discussion of why this is hot. The Derech, in the Lashon Nekeva or whatever. It's discussion over there. So
That's actually gonna come up later today. But you're right. Derech is an exception also. It's Lashon Nekeva.
It switches.
Right.
There's a Rashi that says that I believe it's this word. The
Yeah.
examples of Zachar.
Okay. Folks, it would definitely fit into the pasuk more. That if La'avda is going on Torah and L'shamra is going on Derech Eitz Chaim.
Which is Torah, which you
Right.
said is Torah anyway, so. No?
Yeah.
So it's all this.
That's all, yeah. The Targum Yonasan also in Parshas Bereishis says the same thing. When it says L'avda L'shamra, it says L'mehavi Polach Be'araisa, to work in the Torah, Ulaminter Pikdaha, and to guard its pikudim, its commandments. And also Chazal in the Sifri and Parshas Eikev say, bring this pasuk of L'avda L'shama, L'avda is Talmud Torah, L'shama Ela HaMitzvahs. So we see Chazal and a few other places also tell us that that's the meaning of L'avda L'shama. The Radal brings that there's a Zayar in a few places, in the Zayar Parshas Bereishis and Tikkuni Zayar dashes the pasuk a little bit differently. L'avda L'shama. L'avda b'mitzvahs esay, u'l'shama b'mitzvahs leis esay. Like we always say that the Gemara says that shomer pen is a leis esay. When the Torah tells you guard yourself so that you won't do this, that's another way of saying don't do it. Right? So shmira is always allowed. Like Zohar and Shamar and Shabbos. Zohar is the positive commandments of Shabbos, and Shamar are the negative commandments of Shabbos. So the Zohar understood that L'avda is the positive ideas, work. Go do mitzvahs essays, and l'shama is guard yourself from doing mitzvahs leis essays. So the Radal says, how come none of the other Chazals explain it this way? We don't say La'avdil Hashem is talking about mitzvahs, essay, and lois. We say it's talking about Torah and mitzvahs. Why not essays and lois essays? So the Radak says because Pashtas, there were no mitzvahs essays. All the mitzvahs that Adam Rishon himself got were all mitzvahs lois essays. Right? Don't curse Hashem, don't steal, don't kill, don't commit adultery, these type of things. We don't find that Adam Rishon had a mitzvah essay. You'll ask me Pruruvu. So Pashtus, when in Pashtus Bereshis, when it says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Adam and Chava Pruruvu Milu Sa'aretz, so Pashtus, that wasn't the commandment, that was a bracha. He gave Adam Rishon a special bracha that you'll be fruitful and multiply. But that wasn't a commandment. The commandment of Pruruvu was said to Noach. So there were no positive commandments in the time of Adam Rishon. Pashtus. So that's why we only say of the.
There's a myth that we found a mitzvah that Adam Rishon was potter of.
What?
Potter of Pruruvu.
Pashtus,
So
yeah.
if you follow that line, what are you saying now? That he was potter of this mitzvah. You receive the bracha. You don't just pass the bracha.
Right.
So, yeah, okay, that's
It was a bracha, but it wasn't like a level of a commandment.
uh
The Mefarshim speak of, there's a pasuk that says Lishmar as derech eitz hachayim, to guard the derech eitz hachayim. But that pasuk is talking about after Adam Rishon was kicked out of Gan Eden, so Kadosh Baruch Hu put the kruvim, the cherubim and the lahat hacherev hamisapeches, the blade, the twirling blade that was moving. So Hashem put that there to guard the derech eitz hachayim. So Chazal. So the Mefarshim speak out that we're not darshaning that pasuk because that pasuk has no shaykhs to what we're talking about. That's like way after the story of the Adam Rishon, and it's talking about Hashem guarding. So when we say Lishma and Sterech Eitzachim, we're just using the same lashon of the pasuk. We're not actually referring to that pasuk. Okay. One more point over here. What does it mean that Adam Rishon was being mekayim the Torah and learning, and what in the world does that mean? Any of this stuff? There's a Gemara that says the Gemara is already sort of the answer. But the Gemara says that when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Shemayim to be Mekabel Torah, so the Malach Yeshari said, "Why are you giving it to man? Why are you giving the Torah to a person? Give it to us. Well, Malachim, we should get the Torah. Why are you giving it to them?" So Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, "Answer them back." So Moshe Rabbeinu said back to them, "Wait a minute. It says like this. It says in the Torah, Kabed es avicha v'esimecha. Do you have a father? No, you don't have a father. You're an angel. Well, what does that have to do? What does a father have to do with you? So how can you be mekayim the Torah? The Torah says honor your father. You don't have a father. So what do you want? So what did the Malachim want? So Rabbi Leo Mizmir over here says that a lot of other Mefarshim also say this. That the Malachim, what they wanted over there was they wanted to be mekayim the Torah, not Pashup Shat. They just wanted to be mekayim the side of the Torah without getting a Pashup Shat. So also when we're talking about Adam Rishon learning Torah and being mekayim the Torah, how could Adam Rishon be mekayim the mitzvah of kibbud av v'em? He didn't have a father. So what does it mean he's being mekayim the Torah? Well, and the other things that say he wasn't stealing. Stealing from who? There was no one else. So what does it mean that he was learning Torah and he was keeping the Torah? It means that he was being mekayim on that level that the Malachim wanted to be mekayim on that, just the side part.
Well, like I said before, like he was doing showing the love he was not supposed to do.
Yeah, fine, but even by this early stage,
at different levels. Maybe like a three. What's it called?
But I'm saying, like, how did he not steal? He owned everything. How did he not kill? He was the only one alive at this point.
So he wasn't chayav in Adam and Chava.
So then what did he have? Don't curse Hashem. That was the only thing that he had, I guess.
There's the other ones.
Every minute chay. Every minute stam is eating animals.
Whatever.
No, I don't know. Fine. V'hoya metayel began Eden. This is very interesting. V'hoya metayel began Eden ke'achar mimalachei hasharis. Adam Rishon would stroll around Gan Eden as if he was one of the ministering angels, one of the malachei hasharis. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now this is interesting. Kadosh Baruch Hu said, Ani yochid ba'ilami v'zeh yochid ba'ilami. I am a unique individual in my world, and this creature, this man, is also unique in his world. Ani ein bria u'revi lefanai. In regard to me, Hashem, there's no such thing as of being fruitful and multiplying. There's no offspring. There's no continuation. Hashem is Hashem, and that's the way it is. V'zeh ein bria u'revi lefanai. And this creature, this man, also, there's no offspring and there's no creation, being fruitful and multiplying by him. So Kadosh Baruch Hu didn't like this situation. La'achar kain yom ha'briyos. It'll come to a time that in the future people will say, the creations will say, since there's no being fruitful and multiplying, there's no offspring, man doesn't have offspring, then the creations of the world are going to think that this man, he's the one that created all of the creation. Just because Hashem doesn't give offspring, and this guy doesn't have offspring, so he must be Hashem. So he's the one who created us. So because of that, Hashem said, it's not good for man to be alone. I shall make for him a helper with him. And the way the Radal explains it says, it doesn't say loy taiv le'adam liyos levada. It doesn't say it's not good for man to be alone. No, that's not what it says. It says loy taiv. It's not good in general for the whole world that hayos adam levada, that a man should be alone, because then the creations will think that he's the creator. So Hashem said that I'm going to create a counterpart for man, and then the creations will realize that no, a man is not the one who created the world. Hashem is the one that created the world. Yeah? So, this is a very difficult idea what it's saying over here. It's saying that really Hashem made it that man wasn't going to have offspring. But then, because Hashem realized that, the animals are going to, all the creations are going to think that Adam was the one that created the world, so, because he doesn't have offspring and the creator doesn't have offspring, so therefore, we're going to have it that man could have offspring, and then the creations won't think that Adam created the world.
What creations?
No, so that's not so difficult. The Mepharshim say that before the Chet of Adam Rishon, all the animals had a higher degree of intellect, and they were able to understand and speak and that kind of things. That's not what's bothering. But what's really bothering the Mepharshim, especially Rabbi Leomi Izmir, is, let's say this. He asks two questions of it. The first question is like this: Chazal tell us, "Bereishis bar likim eis hashamayim eis haaretz." Bereishis b'shvil Yisrael shenikru reishis. Why did Hashem create the world? Because of Klal Yisrael, who are called reishis. They're the first. Now it sounds like from the Medrash over here that originally man wasn't supposed to have offspring, so then there wouldn't have been a Klal Yisrael. So you say that Hashem created the world because of Klal Yisrael. B'shvil Yisrael shenikru reishis. The original plan was that Bnei Yisrael would never even exist. How can you say that the world was created because of them?
Yeah, but there's something difficult about this kind of thought. Because if you think that Hashem made something and then he thought, like in a second thought, it is not so good. It's not Hashem thinking.
Right.
So it's a human thinking. Yeah. Okay, I'll try to,
Yeah, Hashem doesn't. Hashem doesn't change his mind. Hashem already knows what's going to be in.
He was exactly.
So whatever he does is all part of a plan.
Literal here.
Right.
That Hashem created something and then we think.
Right. Fine. It's not right. Definitely not. But the question is, so how are we supposed to understand it exactly?
Yeah.
The other question Rabbi Leomi Izmir asks is based on what we said in the previous parak, in Parak Aleph. It says that when Adam Rishon, I don't know if you remember, but it says when Adam Rishon was first created, all the creation saw him, and they were scared of him. Why? Because they thought that Adam Rishon was the one who created them. So all the creations, they came and they said, okay, we're all going to get together and we're going to bow down to Adam Rishon. And they come to Adam Rishon, and Adam Rishon says to them, "You came down to bow down to me? No. I'm not the creator. Hashem is the creator. Me and all of you will get together and we're going to all bow down to Hashem. That's what Adam Rishon said.
So there's some element in Adam Rishon itself. For us, it's obvious, but like you said, like in the beginning, like the plants would talk and stuff. And
right.
So there's some element in Adam Rishon that it made him like special in front of the others. Maybe because he was unique. Like
it says because Yachid Melamai Ein Pei Revia.
They have like a lot of trees and plants and animals and stuff, but not Adam. Adam would have only one. It's maybe the special thing about him. Maybe.
Oh, so but in that
they would. What's the Avamina of thinking this one and creating?
No, but the question, his question is like this. In the previous passage, said that they thought that Adam Rishon created them, and then we're going to go bow down to him. And Adam Rishon says, no, we should all go together and bow down to Hashem. So you see that Adam Rishon already clarified it. That I'm not the one that created you. Hashem created you. So then now we're saying that since they're going to think that Adam Rishon was the creator, so Hashem made it that Adam Rishon would have offspring. But Adam Rishon already clarified that misconception. He said, no, I'm not the creator.
Yeah, but it could
came maybe means.
So you're saying good. So
happened once and they
So Bilyomi Israel says two answers. The first answer he says is like this. The first answer says is that it could be that what the Medrash means over here is not that that the creatures would literally think that Adam Rishon was the creator and they would worship him as the creator, because they know he wasn't the creator, because he was the one that said to them, I'm not the creator, we should all go to the creator. But that rather they would think that since Adam Rishon is so special in the world and in some ways resembles the creator, resembles Hashem, because Ein Pri Revia and is Yachid Ba'olam, whatever, so they would think that Hashem would want it that we should worship Adam Rishon as sort of an intermediary. Instead of worshiping Hashem, we should worship him, because he's like God's emissary to the world. He's similar to God, and so we should look up to Adam Rishon and worship him. And to that, Hashem didn't want that to happen. So basically, really, the original plan was that really Hashem was going to have man have offspring or whatever.
That's what happened when we studied the Hebrew Chodesh kind of thing. The people exactly like this, exactly like they started to worship food and the sun, whatever. Right,
and then from that it degenerated.
Forgot from Hashem. That's what happened to that generation.
But the point is that really Hashem was going to make it that Adam Rishon from the beginning was going to have offspring, because and the world was all created for Klal Yisrael and the Torah and all these things. So of course Hashem was going to make it that Adam Rishon would have offspring, but Hashem was sort of going to delay it, that he didn't want to create Chava right away. Hashem didn't want to create Chava right away, because Hashem knew that Chava is going to bring about sort of the downfall of man. Even though she's going to be the one through which she's going to be fruitful and multiply, but she's also going to bring the downfall. And he didn't want that Adam Rishon would necessarily have his downfall so quickly. He wanted him to enjoy Gan Eden for a little bit first, right? We said that Adam Rishon was chayte like over 10 hours after the beginning of the day, like mamish within a few hours. So Hashem realized that Hashem didn't want to create Chava right away. Give Adam Rishon a chance to live in Gan Eden and enjoy it. But because of this, the people are going to start, not people, I keep saying people, but I mean creations are going to start thinking that Adam Rishon was the one who created the world, not that he created the world, but that he's going to be, that he should be worshipped. So Hashem had to like very quickly make it that no, there's not one man, but there's going to be two men or two people. That's one answer that Rabbi Leomi Izmir says. The second answer, like what Rabbi Pomeran said, and the Radal also says this, that originally Adam Rishon clarified it with the creations and said, no, I'm not the creator. Hashem is the creator. But after time, as time would go on, there's a chashash that maybe the creations are going to sort of forget, or as the generations progress, they're going to come up with their own ideas and decide, no, really Adam Rishon was the creator of the universe. So because people might forget what originally happened, so Hashem hastened bringing the creation of Chava so that Adam Rishon won't become some sort of avodah zarah.
So it's interesting that it's so the essence of the human being, like to forget and not to be thankful for for the things that he should be thankful for.
No, because it's because I think one of the points is because people only think about things that they see. So
there's also like a target, like a period of time. After that, I think why we teach our kids Manushtana every single year. Why we have like old festivals again and again and again.
Right.
Baruch Hashem, so you have to you have a mitzvah to teach Torah to our kids. Why? Why not? We already know Hashem's there. It's okay. No, it's not okay.
Because if you don't see something, if it's not in front of you, then you don't think about it as much, and then you tend to forget it. So even if you know that Hashem is the one that gives everything and whatever, but then you don't see Hashem. So it looks like it's really the boss that's giving you your money. You think that it's your boss that's giving you the money, but really it's coming from Hashem. But you don't deal with Hashem on a regular basis. He's not the one who hands you the check. The boss hands you the check. So you think it's coming from the boss, but it's not coming from the boss.
Some rich guy was
or whatever, yeah. Well, horn, right? Horn? Okay, let's go weiter. We're talking about so Hashem said, "Esalei Ezer Kenegdai." I'm going to make an Ezer Kenegdai. We're going to speak later on about the creation of Chava. But first, there's another interesting point. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Al tikri." Here we're going to speak about right. Al tikri Kenegdai el lenagdai. Imzocha tiel Ezer v'imlav lenagdai lilochem. It says Hashem is going to create a woman to be an Ezer Kenegdai, a helper Kenegdai. Kenegdai, let's say, literally can mean against him, or corresponding to him, to supplement him, to complement him, to make them to work together. But Rabbi Yehuda says another drasha. Don't read it as Kenegdai, rather read it as Lenagdai. Lenagdai means to whip in Aramaic. Rav Menagid Manda Kaddish whatever Menagid is to whip. So don't read it that Hashem is creating a woman to be an Ezer Kenegdai, to be a helper corresponding to him, but rather a helper to whip him. What does that mean? Im Zacha, if he's Zaycha, so then Tia like Ezer. She's going to be a helper. Im Lav Lenagdai. If he's not Zaycha, then she's going to whip him. Lihilachem, to fight with him, to war with, they're going to argue with each other. So it's a big yisod in Shalom Bayis. The Sefer Chachmas Manayach in Maseches Yevamis, when the Gemara in Yevamis brings down this Ma'amar Chazal, so it says you have to be medayik in the way it says it. Im zocha, if you're zoicha, you have extra schus, so then the wife is going to be an Ezer, she's going to help you out. But if you don't have the extra schus, by default, she's lenagda, she's going to come to whip you. It doesn't say that if you do bad things, then Hashem's going to make it that your wife doesn't help you, she's going to be against you. It doesn't say that. It says, if you have a special schus, then she's going to help you. If you don't have a special schus, then the default is that she's going to be lenagda.
That's very good, because I've heard Chazon Ish had a very bad life. She wasn't a very good life. He was the Chazon Ish. He must have treated her soon.
I don't know. The Gemara says.
It's not. You do good. You're a good person.
More than that, I think she was kind of she was mental, disturbed or something like that. Mentally deranged. What do I say?
The Gemara has a story over there with Rav and Reb Chia that his wife was bothering him, and he's thinking, he said, still you have to bring her a present because you have to have a kras toiv. And
if I'm not mistaken, up to the point that someone asked him, people kept asking, I want your information. She's just like, no, send her away. She keeps embarrassing you in front of people and stuff. I say, look, Hashem gave me her. It's for a reason. I have to keep her. It's part of her.
Yeah. When the land found out that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's plan was that man will be able to be fruitful and multiply, the ground started shaking and making noise. It was complaining. The ground said to its creator, massive universes, I don't have the power, the wherewithal to sustain Tzaynei Shel Adam. Pashtus, that means flocks of men, flocks of people. I don't.
Of people or flocks?
Pashtus, it means flocks of people, like multitudes of people.
Or flocks.
The other way of reading it means the sheep of people. The other way of reading it means the sheep of people. Like, once you're going to have so many people, then you're going to need so much sheep because people need to have good food, and there's going to be so much sheep in the world that I'm not going to be able to give sustenance to all these sheep.
So no shall happen.
Right. You can read it both ways. The Radal says, Ribui min ha'adam means multitudes of people. The Marzu says, the Marzu says that Tzaynei Shel Adam shemacholam esav asada, that they eat the grass in the field, and kol shekin bnei adam themselves that need to have lots of good food. So he understood that it's talking about literally flocks of. The Marzu says it's lavdavka just means the whole population of the world is going to have to be sustained on things that grow from the ground. So the ground is complaining to Hashem, I'm not going to be able to sustain all these things, all these creations. So Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu replied to the ground. Especially, also the Radal points out that the problem was especially with people, because Hashem gave a koyach to man to have control over the ground. And man could build and dig and plant and do all kinds of stuff and show their own dominance over the ground. So they could play around with it. So the ground is saying, I don't want people playing around with the ground all over, and then I won't be able to give them what they need. Mashenkin, if we're talking about just the animals, so the animals are more passive. Like whatever grows, they'll take it and they eat it and go. But the animals generally don't go and dig things and plow things and make a whole ruckus in the topography. Okay. The point is that the ground is complaining to Hashem that if we have so many people and so many animals, I'm not going to be able to sustain them all. So Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem said to the ground, Ani v'at nozun tzaynei shel adam. You and I are going to sustain either the flocks of men or the sheep of men. V'chatzu shneim, and we're going to split it. Halayla l'Kadosh Baruch Hu, the night is going to be to Hashem, v'hayom la'aretz, and the day is going to be for the ground. I'm going to explain it in a moment, but the point is that Hashem is saying to the ground, look, you have all these things to sustain, all these creations to sustain. Look, we'll make a deal. You're only responsible for the day. I'm going to be responsible for the night. The night, the land has a break. The night, we say Hashem is giving the way the Radal explains it. Hashem is giving the eretz a break. That during the night, the eretz will be able to replenish itself and grow more things, so that creations can come and eat from it during the day. Just similar to what we said in Perikid Aleph, that the Behemoth Baharei Aleph used to eat these 1,000 mountains or whatever during the day, and then at night they would grow back, and then the next day they would go and eat it again. It's a similar idea that all these the animals and creations would go and eat from the land during the day, and then at night Hashem is giving it a break so that they would grow back, and then they can come for the next day. But the point is, so where are they getting their sustenance at night from? If people and animals are only eating from the ground during the day, so where are they eating from during the night? Me'as HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What did Hashem do? Bora Shnas Chaim. Kadosh Baruch Hu created something called sleep of life. V'adam shechev v'yashain. A man will lie down and sleep. V'hu mezaynai, and that's his sustenance. U'rufuasai, and his healing. V'chayimai, and that gives him his life. U'menucholai, and that gives him his rest. Shneimar, Yoshanti az yanuachli. I slept, az yanuachli. Then everything was settled for me. When Hashem created a new idea that didn't exist before in creation, called sleep. That during the night, animals or people will sleep. And the sleep gives them their sustenance. Instead of eating during the night, you sleep during the night. And the Radal points out that the teva of a person is that when you're sleeping, you don't feel hungry. Right? In general, when a person is awake, if you're awake for 12 hours, usually you're going to eat once or twice, maybe 3 times. Right? At night, you could be sleeping for 12 hours, And you don't go, I'm so hungry in the middle of your sleep. Generally, the person doesn't wake up and say, it's been 6 hours since I ate. I have to go take a snack. No, you're sleeping. You don't get hungry in the middle of your sleeping.
You don't know my brother-in-law.
What?
You don't know my brother-in-law.
Yeah, I don't know your brother-in-law. That's right. Why he sleepwalks, sleep eats. Okay, but in general, a person is when he's sleeping, he doesn't need to eat. And we said that sleep is a refuah of a person. It heals the person.
Something actually very, very interesting. When it happens to everyone, I think when you get up, you don't feel like putting anything into your stomach. It's just like somewhat glue inside or whatever. Don't you feel like that? I heard someone explain that it's in the purpose, like for someone to get up and slowly, get him on his 2 feet and go to shul and come back. And you don't feel like, why I need to solve the world after feed them. You don't.
I know some people are like that and some people aren't like that. I happen to be like that also. But other people, when they wake up in the morning, the first thing they have to eat before they can do anything, or they have to drink their coffee or whatever. But
it's more here than...
It is. You're right. It is more in the head, but that's people train themselves to do that.
The body, it's not made for it like this. It takes time.
But there's a rush in Shita Mekubetzes Mesechas Erchin. The rush says that a person weighs more in the morning before he eats than he does after he eats, because when you're hungry, there's like a fire burning inside your stomach, and that weighs a person down. Interesting idea. Al Kaponim, we said that sleeping is a refuah for a person. It heals a person. You can mamish see it like when a person has a wound. You get a cut in the beginning of the day. 12 hours later, before you go to sleep, it's still exactly the same way. When you go to sleep, 12 hours later you wake up, it closes up much more when you're sleeping than when you're awake. The Radal also points this out. We know also the Midrashim tell us that when a person goes to sleep, so his neshama leaves him and goes back to Shemayim, right? The Gemara says in Brachos that sleep is 1/60th of death, because a person's neshama leaves him, goes back to Shemayim, and gets rejuvenated and gets new koiches. Chadoshim la bikorim rabo emunasacha. The pasuk in the Eicha, the Chazal darshan about Chadoshim la bikorim. It's a new day, la bikorim, a new morning. Rabba and Munasachad, and that's where we say Moidani in the morning, and that's why we say Machazin Shomas Lefgarim Meisim. So these are different healing properties of sleep. So that was the deal. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, okay, the land during the day you give them sustenance, and at night I'll take care of it. I created something called sleep. But could it
be because of the Adama and the complaint, that Hashem gave us also like a different schedule, that we have to sleep and we have to
could be.
Yeah, I was thinking that it was the Adama, the artist was really afraid of people working all the time and holes and stuff. Like, give me a break. So, okay, man a break. So the male, you're gonna have a break.
Right. HaKadosh Baruch Hu seimech es haaretz u'mashka. HaKadosh Baruch Hu supports even during the day when sort of the land is what's responsible for giving sustenance. Still, HaKadosh Baruch Hu seimech es haaretz u'mashka. HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself is what supports the land and gives the irrigation to the land. V'hinei senes perisel mozain l'chol habriyos. And the land in turn gives off its fruits and its maza and its sustenance to all the different creations. Then the Medrash says, sort of in parentheses, but that's talking about when animals and other creations get their sustenance, so they just get it straight from the land and they don't have to work for it. But man, with hardships and with sadness, a person eats, because you have to work. A man is supposed to work for his food, like we're going to find out about by the curses of Adam Rishon for the Eitz Hadas. So man has to work on it. But in general, the land just gives away the fruits and the pears and the malzin to all the creations. Right. Now we're going to speak about the creation of Chava. When Kadosh Baruch Hu created Chava from his bone, from his rib bone, so we said that Hashem put Adam Rishon into a very deep sleep. But Tipol of Tardema. Could be that we're mentioning this now because we were just talking about sleeping, so now this is like a different type of sleeping also. It says when Kadosh Baruch Hu is creating a Chava, he chas alav, he had pity on Adam Rishon, shalei la'achivay, to not cause him pain. V'hipel alav shenas tardema v'yashanai. Hashem put upon Adam Rishon a shenas tardema, a deep sleep, and Adam Rishon was sleeping. The Radal points out that a very deep sleep takes away a person's ability to feel things. He doesn't have any, what's the word I'm looking for? Sensations. Hargashas. He doesn't have any sensations. And he compares this to what we find in contemporary times. We have anesthesia. When doctors have to do surgery and cut a person open or cut off limbs or whatever, so they give him a certain gas or certain pills or certain potions or whatever to put him into a very deep sleep. And when he's in that very deep sleep, he won't feel the pain. So usually, if you're in a regular sleep and someone tries cutting off your arm, you'll wake up right away. But there's a certain type of deep sleep that a person could have his arm cut off and he wouldn't even feel it. The Radal points out that there's a Gemara that says a different reason. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu have to put Adam Rishon to sleep when he was creating Chava? So we're saying in Perkei Avos, it's saying that he won't feel the pain. He's having surgery, so Hashem didn't want him to feel pain, so he put him to sleep. The Gemara, Masechah Sanhedrin, Daf Lametes, also in the Bereishis Rabbah, it says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put Adam Rishon to sleep because, just imagine if he was awake, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, "Yeah, give me that." Even if he didn't have any pain, give me that arm. And Hashem took the arm and built from this whole arm a beautiful lady. It's disgusting. It's like a piece of me that came out and it became something else, and he wouldn't have been attracted to her. So Kadosh Baruch Hu had him sleeping, and he wouldn't even if he knew that it came from him. But if you don't see it, it doesn't look as bad.
It comes from something that's
I know some. I know somebody who became a vegetarian. Why? Because she used to make a lot of like chicken or whatever, and it was like disgusting to see like a raw chicken with the juices and this and that. It was like became disgusting to her, and then she couldn't eat it anymore. Even in the finished product with all with the spices and this and then whatever. But she knew where it came from and she saw how it was made. It was like disgusting, so she didn't. It's like it would be the same thing. Adam Rishon would have been disgusted by the way it was created, and he wouldn't have wanted to have anything to do with her. So Kadosh Baruch Hu had it that he was sleeping when she was created. What were you gonna say?
Rashi over there, if I remember, brings that shot. He also says.
What is?
I think he didn't want Adam to know which part he took from him, because then he would not only be disgusted. I want to say something else, but I don't remember. Rashi says.
Yeah, that's what Rashi said. Rashi says, "Vayishen vayikach shelo yira chatichas habasar shemimenu nivros." So he wouldn't see the cutting of the flesh because she was created from him. V'tisbaze olav, and she would be disgusting to him. That's basically what the Gemara says. But Perkei Avos is saying Hashem did it so that he won't feel pain. Okay. Kadosh Baruch Hu took bone from the bones of Adam and flesh from the heart of Adam. And he made a helper for Adam. He made her a helper. And he stood her next to him. Adam Rishon woke up from his sleep. And the Radal says that in the Torah, it doesn't say anything about Adam Rishon waking up. And then he says an interesting point that maybe Adam Rishon woke up because he sort of sensed that there was like somebody like right next to him. He felt the flesh of another being, and that's what woke him up. When he saw that she was standing next to him, immediately he hugged her and he kissed her. And the Radal says another interesting point over here that what happened? He wakes up, he sees her, and all of a sudden he hugs her and he kisses her. What got him to do that? What made him want to do such a thing? So he says that from here we see that there's a teva that seeing something gives a person a teva for that thing. We find this in a lot of different places. Like let's say in Kriyashah, we say don't turn after your eyes, because the eyes are the ones that create the taiva. Also, Chava by the Eitz Hadas, so she says that v'chisava hu leinayim. It's a taiva for the einayim to eat from this Eitz Hadas. So the Chazal tells us that the eyes see and the eyes want. The eyes are the ones that create a taiva. The Sfarim talk about this a lot. The eyes create taivas for things. So he says that this already existed in the time right when Chava was created. He saw her and immediately he went to Chibka v'Nishka. Even not necessarily if it's a bad thing. Just that's the mechanics. V'amar, and other Rishon said, Brucha atla Hashem. You are blessed to Hashem. Atzmeich me'atzomai. Your bones are from my bones. V'loch roi likreis Ishah. And to you it is fitting to call Ishah. I'm going to call you Ishah. Why? Now it says in the pasuk, Etzem me'atzomai, bone from my bones, uvasar mibsari, and flesh from my flesh. And the pasuk ends off and says, L'zeis yikarei Isha. To this we shall call Isha. Kimi ish lukacha zeis. Because this was taken from Ish. And if I'm going to be called Ish, and this was taken from me, so it's appropriate that we're going to call her Isha, because the word Isha is related to the word Ish, as I discussed in the first chapter of my book, Lashon HaKodesh. Asha ilavadai nikra Adam. As long what?
Right, you brought a kasha. Then it wasn't related. The Ishah wasn't related to Ish.
Right, it could be.
Someone else said that, and it's related to some other word.
The word Isha. I wasn't going to say this, but the word Isha is spelled Aleph. The word Isha is Aleph Yud Shin. The word Isha is Aleph Shin Hey. Right? Now, there's in the shin of Isha, Aleph Shin Hey, there's a dot in the shin.
Yeah.
So Rishonim tell us that the dot in the shin comes to tell us that there's like a letter missing. So some Rishonim, or some places, I believe the Radak says that, I believe it was the Radak, he says that the word, the dot is coming to tell you that there really is supposed to be a Yud. It's really supposed to be Isha, Aleph Yud Shin Hey. Just like Ish is Aleph Yud Shin. So there's Aleph Yud Shin with a Hey. Right? But there's a word called Isha, her man, right, with a mapik Hey. And if woman is going to spell Aleph Yud Shin Hey, so you're going to get confused between Isha and Isha. So therefore, the Torah took out the Yud from the word Isha and spelled it without the Yud and put a dot in the Shin to tell you that there's a letter missing. That's one pshat that the Radak says. So according to that, the word Isha comes from the word Ish. But another pshat that the Radak says is the word Isha, the dot in the Shin, is coming to tell you that there's a missing Nun. That really the word Isha sort of comes from the word Anash or Enosh, which is another word for man. Right? Adam Sheis Enosh. Enosh is another word for man. Ma Enosh Kisis Krenu, or whatever. And in the plural of Ish is Anashim, which is also related to the word Enosh. So Isha is spelled with a dot in the shin because it's related to the word Anash. So then how you read the if that's the etymological evolution of the word Isha, so then how could you say Kimi Ish Lukacha Zeis? It doesn't read. Ish and Isha have nothing to do with each other. Isha was related to the word Enosh, not related to the word Ish. That's the question that I asked in the book. The answer basically was the Echanami. It's not an etymology. Other Rishon is not saying that the etymology of the word Isha is coming from the word Ish. Just the word Isha sounds like the word Ish. They're phonetically similar, not that they're etymologically related. Okay, I know. That was a sidetrack. As long as he was alone, so man was called Adam. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha says, who's Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha? Who's Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha's father? Anyone know? Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva was bald, so he was called the Karcha, the bald ones. Rabbi Yeshua was Rabbi Kiva's son. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha was the son of Rabbi Kiva. That's a Tezan Bava Basra says such a pshat. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha Hashem Basar V'Dam Nikra Shmei Adam. Why was Adam called Adam? Because of Basar V'Dam, flesh and blood. That's why he's called Adam. What does that mean? Well, there's a Gemara in Mesachas Saita and Daf Hey and Aleph that says that Adam is Reshi Tevis Efer Dam Mora. Adam is Rosh Tevis for Afer, which is dust, or ash actually, right? Ash, blood, and bile. And a man is made up of these three components. That's what the Gemara says. Here we're saying, no, the Adam is called Adam because of Basar v'Dam. So Dam we can understand because the word Adam has the word Dam in it, so Dam, Adam. What's with the Basar? So the Radal says that maybe the pshat is like this. Basar, flesh, is red. Right? So Adam could be related also to the word Adoim, which means red. That's why it has the extra aleph. If it just had to do with Dam, so call him Dam. Why are you calling him Adam? So the extra aleph is to make this word more related to the word Adoim, which means red. Could be. It's an interesting pshat. So that was before, as long as man was alone, so he was called Adam. Ishah, when his helper, the woman, was created, Nikar Shmai Ish Vihi Isha. Then his name became Ish, and her name became Ishah. What did Hashem do? Shmai Beinehem, Yud and Hey. What did Hashem do? Hashem put his name, the name of Hashem, between a man and a woman. Between the man and a woman together, you have the Yud and the Hey. In man, you have an Ish, you have a Yud, and by woman, you have a Hey. Isha, you have a Hey. And we find that the Yud and Hey have different significances. Like, for example, in Pashat, the way a man and a woman are, in, let's say, how they contribute to making a children. So the man gives a little drop, a little yud, and then a hey. So that's why the word ish has a yud, and then a hey is like a hey looks like some sort of like machine or like some sort of processing center. The hay is like it's like a whole thing. It's like a whole house, right? And then it has like an entrance over here and an exit over here. So like the hay, the yud comes into the hay, and then it gets stuck in, processed, or whatever for 9 months, and then it comes out. That's what the hay does. The hay, and that's the role of an ish and an isha. The ish supplies the raw material, and the isha's job is to process the raw material and make something good come out of it. The chaymer and the tzura, whatever. It's Kabbalah, philosophy, whatever you want to call it. It's all saying. All these things are saying the same thing. They're just using different terminology. If they follow my, so Hashem said, if they follow my path and they keep my mitzvahs, and for some reason the Bayis HaGadol says that keeping my mitzvahs specifically means that they won't commit adultery, that he won't commit adultery and she won't commit adultery. But I don't know why he talking about adultery. It's in general, if a man and a woman they keep their mitzvahs, my name is given in between them. The man has a yod and the woman has a hey, and that's going to save them from all distress. But if they don't keep the mitzvahs and they don't follow the correct path, I'm going to take away my name from between them. Right? Ish without a yod and Isha without a hey, they're both ish, fire and fire. It's going to be left with fire and fire. And fire will eat fire. Fire will consume fire. Shneimar says in the pasuk, because it is a fire and it'll consume until complete and utter destruction. So that's why Hashem made it sort of a t'nai with people that if you do the right path, then the Shekhinah is with you. If you don't do the right path, then the Shekhinah leaves, and then they'll just be fighting and make fire and fire, and then everything will be destroyed. Okay, this is the last topic over here. This is a shtickle interesting thing. I don't know exactly how to understand it, but these are the words. Hashem made for Adam Rishon in Gan Eden 10 chuppahs. And all these 10 chuppahs were made out of precious stones and pearls and gold. Now the Medrash asks a kasha. Every chassan who gets married, you only make one chuppah for him. And for a king, you make 3 chuppahs. I don't know what that means. Was it a king, you make 3 chuppahs? Where's that coming from? So the Radal says, in the name of his brother, he says that, because it says in the pasuk, in Shir Shirim, it says, Aper yoyin osalei melech shalmei me'atzei levanayin, amuda of asa chesef, refidasei zahav, merkavai argamon. So there's three components. I always understood the Psukim was referring to one. A period is a canopy, a chuppah, the same thing. So it's saying Amuda was a chesed, Rufidos says zahav, Merkavai Argaman. These three things. Amuda was a chesed, Rufidos says zahav, Merkavai Argaman. I always understood it was talking about three components of the same chuppah, but he wants to say that maybe it's talking about three different chuppahs that a king has. It's talking about Shlomo Melech. Appearing Asalai, Melech Shlomo. So a king has three chuppahs. Then he brings, I'm not sure exactly where it's coming from, he brings also the Menorah Sama'or, says that it doesn't mean Stam a Melech, it means Melech HaMashiach is going to have three chuppahs. I don't know what that means either. But Al Kapanim, the Medrash is asking Kasha. It says in the Medrash, we just said that Kodesh Baruch Hu created 10 chuppahs for Adam Rishon when he was in Gan Eden. A regular chassid only gets one chuppah, and a king or Melech HaMashiach is going to have three chuppahs. So why did Hashem make 10 chuppahs for Adam Rishon? So Medrash answers, Lach like kavod la'adam rishon, asa Kodesh Baruch Hu esa chuppahs began Eden. In order to give special kavod to Adam Rishon, Kodesh Baruch Hu made for him 10 chuppahs in Gan Eden. Shneimar, it says in the pasuk. Well, this is an interesting pasuk. The pasuk in Yechezkel Perek Chav Ches is talking about Yechezkel was giving Musar to Chira Melech Tzur. Chira, the king of Tyre, Hiram, the king of Tyre, thought that he was exposed to the most beautiful creations in the world, and that he has all the different types of chachma and architecture, or whatever. So Hashem told Yechezkel, go tell this to the king of Tzur. Be'eden gan aleikim hayisa. Were you in Eden, the garden of Hashem? Kol even yikara misukosecha, and all precious stones were covering you. Rashi says sukosecha, misukosecha, chupasecha, were like a canopy over you. And then it lists off the precious stones, and you might be familiar with some of these from the Choshen. Oidem pitata v'yahaloyim tarshish shoyhem v'yoshvei saper neifech uvorkas v'zohav. These different types of stones, 10 types of stones. Melachas tupecha u'nekavel, the work of your tupecha, of your cymbals, like the musical instrument. U'nekavecha bach. The Mepharshim over here saying nekavecha means it means some sort of wind instrument that has holes in it. Nekavecha means like holes. B'yom hibaracha kainu, all these things that Hashem created for Adam Rishon on the day that he was created. Were you in Gan Eden and you were able to see all these things? No, you weren't. So what makes you, Chira Melech Tzur, think that you've been exposed to the most beautiful and complicated edifices in creation? You were never in Gan Eden. That's what the Navi Yechezkel told Chira Melech Tzur. So Chazal are darshaning that there were 10 types of stones that were Mesukasacha, that were of the chuppah, that were created for Adam Rishon. So from that, Chazal are telling us that Kodesh Baruch Hu created for Adam Rishon 10 chuppahs on the day that he was created. Harei elu eser chuppahs. These are the 10 chuppahs. V'hayu hamalachim. And now it darshans another thing in that pasuk. It says tupech meleches tupecha unukavecha bach. The work of the cymbals, the musical instruments, unukavecha bach, and these hallowed instruments, musical instruments were there. Right? So it says v'hayu hamalachim misoipipim bitupim. The angels in Gan Eden were playing the tupim, were playing the cymbals, umuraktim knekevis, and they were dancing like female dancers. Shinemar, like it says this pasuk, melechas tupecha unukavecha bach. Melechas tupecha. So melechas is dashing like lashon of malachim. Tupecha are these cymbals. Unukavecha, it's dashing. We said it means a musical instrument that has holes, and Chazal here are dashing and nekavecha, like nekeva, like lashon nekeva, like women. What does it mean that the malachim were dancing like female dancers? I don't know what that means, but Rav Chaim Falachi has a different girsa. It says not meraktim kinekevas, dancing like females, but umeraktim binekevas, dancing with females. In the Rav Chaim Falachi in Parachad, it says that it doesn't say with a kaf adimin, it says with a beis. They were dancing with females. He says there's two types of malachim. There's male malachim and female malachim. And the male malachim were dancing with the female malachim in front of Adam Rishon. That was like, I guess, his entertainment in Gan Eden. But our Gersa says that they were dancing like nekevos, not they were dancing with nekevos. Another nekuda is stam that there's a Gemara Bava Basra, a similar idea. The Gemara Basra Daf Ayin Hey over there, the same daf that we spoke about the Levyasan and these things about in the future. So then on that same page, the Gemara says that Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to make for every tzaddik 7 chuppahs, and the chuppah of this tzaddik is not going to touch the chuppah of this tzaddik. It has a similar theme over there in that Gemara it's similar to our medrash over here about the 10 chuppahs and 3 chuppahs. I don't understand exactly what's going on over here, but that's what it is. 10 chuppahs, 7 chuppahs, 3 chuppahs. What is it? Were the chuppahs like inside each other? Like it was like a chuppah, and then like on top of that another chuppah, like Gemara in Sukkah talks like a sukkah tachas sukkah, or they were like side by side, or like you walked through. I don't know. Fine. B'yom shenivu Adam Rishon on the day that Adam Rishon was created, Shenemar b'yom hibarach ha'koinanu. Fine, that's how I read when I read the pasuk, because you would have thought that it's going on the day that Chiram was created. So the man is telling you it's talking about the day that Adam Rishon was created. I read the pasuk like that, anyways. Kodesh Baruch Hu said to the ministering angels, "Bayu v'nigmal chesed la'Adam Rishon la'Ezrai." Let's go and do chesed to Adam Rishon and to his helper, to his wife. Sha'al midas gemilos chasadim ha'olam omed. Because on the midah of gemilos chasadim, the world stands on gemilos chasadim. And the Medrash over here is not exactly going to say what they did, but we're going to get to it, Meretz Hashem, in Perek Tazayin, which is going to speak about the chasana of Adam and Chava. By the way, we were talking before about that a melech only has 3 chuppahs. Why did Adam Rishon and a chasan gets 1 chuppah? Why does Adam Rishon get 10? You see that there's some sort of connection between a melech and a chasan. The chasan daimel melech, right? Where's that come from? The chasan daimel melech. It's coming from Pirkei Debelezer, Perek Tazayin, which we're going to get to Meretz Hashem one day. Over there, Perek Tazayin talks about the chasana of Adam Rishon and Chava, and the chesed that the malachim did for Adam Rishon, and speaks about all different types of examples of chesed when it comes to chasanas. That's what's going to be in Perek Tazayin. But it's sort of foreshadowing it over here, but it's going to speak about it over there. Omar Kodesh Baruch Hu Chaviva Gemilos Lasadim Mizvachim La'Elish Yisrael Asidim La'Hakriv L'Fanai Al Gabe Mizbech. Kodesh Baruch Hu said that Gemilos Lasadim, performing kindness, is more dear to me than all the korbanos, the Zvachim La'Elish that Kal Yisrael are going to bring in the future on the Mizbech. Shneimar, it's a pasuk in Ishah, it says Ki Chesed Chofasti V'Lo Zavach. Hashem says, I desired Chesed and not korbanos. Hashem wants chesed, people to do chesed more than He wants people in korbanos. And the ministering angels were like grooms fellows that were guarding the chuppahs. What's the word in English? Grooms fellow. I think I made that up. Groomsmen that were guarding the chuppah. They were like, his assistants and his helpers, whatever. Shema, it says in the pasuk, Ki malachav yetzavelach. He commanded to his angels. He commanded to you to guard you in all of his drachim, in all his paths. What does it mean in all his paths? The lashon of derech to guard you b'chol derachacha in all your paths. The lashon derech refers to the derech of chasanim, the derech of a chasan. What does it mean? So the Radal and the Marzu point to different psukim. There's a pasuk in Mishlei that speaks about a man and a woman. It says the lashon is derech gever ba'alma, the way of a man with a girl. Alma means a girl. Some people think that Alma means a virgin, and then they want to prove that there's a virgin birth because there's a pasuk in Ishah that says that an Alma is going to give birth, but Alma doesn't mean virgin. Besula means virgin. Alma means a lady even. Yeah. So the derech gereb alma, it's a question of derech, and also the pasuk says it's talking about the sun. When the sun comes up in the morning, in Tehillim Yotes, it says the sun is like a chasan coming out of his chuppah, larutz oirach, to run on the path. So you see that the path has to do with getting married and the relationship between a chassan and a kala. Also, as Rabbi Epstein mentioned earlier, the Marzuk brings us down the Gemara in the beginning of Maseches Kedushin, says the Mishnah says Ishah niknas b'shleisha drachim, right? So a woman is niknas in 3 drachim. So why does he use the word drachim? Because bia is called a derech, that's called a path. So it means lishmocha b'chol derachecha, to watch you in the path. The malachim, the Kadosh Baruch Hu was mitzaveh malachim, angels, to watch over the path, meaning to watch over the chuppah of Adam and Chava. The Radal adds another word right over here. V'hakadosh Baruch Hu kachazan. It just says kachazan by you. The Radal adds the word v'hakadosh Baruch Hu kachazan. Hakadosh Baruch Hu was like a chazan. What does that mean? Just like a chazan stands up and gives brachas to the chassan and kala while they're in the chuppah, the chazan, uses his nice voice or whatever, and makes nice sheva brachas. So too Kadosh Baruch Hu got up and gave brachas to Adam and to his helper to Chava under their chuppah. It says in the pasuk, Hashem blessed them, and he said to them, let's count. Pru, urvu, umilu es haaretz, v'chivshua, urdu bidgas hayam, uv'oif hashamayim, u'chol chaya haremeses al haaretz. The Kadosh Baruch Hu gave 7 blessings to Adam and Chava. It says, Pru, urvu, milu es haaretz, kivshua, Redubit Gesayam, Uvoiv Hashamayim, Uvochol Chayar Mesas Ala Aretz. 7 brachas connected the 7 brachas that we have by regular chassan and kala. Thank you very much for coming.